Step number 1, drain the fuel.
Tank, want to remove the gas cap. Inside you're going to see a little fuel filter. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We also want to make sure that people are using a stabilizing product with their fuel. We want to do this as soon as we fill the gas can at the gas station we get it home. That'll help stabilize the fuel. Keep in mind two things. It doesn't take bad fuel and make it good again, but it will go ahead and stabilize fuel and extend it from 45, 90 days to about 6 to 9 months. But the main thing is to drain the fuel out of the tank, and then we can go ahead and drain it out of the carburetor, which we'll talk about.
I wanted to show you the fuel filter basket that sits right in the opening of the gas tank. This is something you'll have to remove if we need to go ahead and siphon and drain the fuel for summer storage. It's an important device because it also keeps a lot of contaminants and debris out on the off season. So you want to go ahead and pull this out and then drain the fuel, whatever method you feel comfortable with. Siphoning is actually the best one, and there's all kinds of pumps that you can utilize too. You also notice on here there's a fuel level indicator, and that's somewhat important too, because that's really the optimum level we always want to keep fuel in the unit. It's really a bad idea to leave a tank half full, because it provides an opportunity for ethanol-based gas to capture water molecules. The fuller the tank, the less chance of the fuel going bad, and the less chance of water accumulating, even if we put ethanol stabilizer in there. So again, a couple of things on this. Next, I'll talk about how we drain the carburetor.
I'm going to show you where the carburetor is located on the 212 engine. And you can see I've got an under view of it here, so you can kind of see the carburetor bolts that we'll talk about right underneath here. And then on the side, you can see where we're at. This is the actual choke, which we talk about as the run start unit that chokes the engine. And to the side, you'll see the OHV indication indicating that it's an overhead valve engine.
I wanted to spend a little time about how we prepare the carburetor for off-season use. Now, we've spoken about bad fuel. We've spoken about how fuel can go bad in as little as 30 days and the importance of using stabilizer. But in the off-season, typically a snow thrower will sit for 6 months or more. And during that time, fuel can still go bad. So it's very important that we drain the carburetor. Now, the carburetor sits by the purge valve on the engine. I've got one removed here so I can show you more effectively how it works, and more importantly, how we drain it. So simply, we've got two nuts here, and you'll notice that we've got a center nut and a side nut. Now, the side nut is really the only one I want to talk about today. The side nut is the drain nut, and I'm going to rotate it around a little bit, and you'll see I'm just unthreading it. And you'll probably need to go ahead and use your 10mm wrench to loosen it initially, and simply go ahead and remove it. When you remove it, you'll see there's a little washer, a little gasket behind there, and the fuel will flow. Now keep in mind, this is normally oriented in this position, so you're going to get gravity. I'm going to continue different sections talking about the other components of the carburetor for those of you guys who might be interested. Now, the center nut, as we talked about, is actually the part that enables us to remove the carburetor bowl, which for most of you is not going to be necessary if you go ahead and follow this procedure. This is an example of the inside of a typical small engine carburetor and bowl. And this is the float mechanism. And then this is going to be the actual control valve for that. You can see how fine these are. Now, when we talk about fuel going bad and turning into gum and varnish, these are the small, minute parts that start to become problematic. So the only reason I show this to you guys is I think it's really important that we make sure to use stabilizer. And perhaps you'll get a better understanding of what's going on inside your engine. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Please note that it's important to store your snow thrower in a cool, dry environment. Humidity can oxidize critical components within the snow thrower and the engine.